Hey guys, welcome to my tutorial. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to preserve dead animals, so, dead animal warning, uh, in jars using isopropyl alcohol. This is going to be a very short, simple guide for beginners who don't have access to the more official chemicals like formalin. So we're just going to be using isopropyl alcohol. Do make sure that it's the 70% isopropyl alcohol. Anything lower and they might start to mold, anything higher and they might start breaking down in ways that you don't want them to. So let's get started. So probably one of the most important things you're going to need are gloves. I use the standard basic blue gloves, just anything to keep your hands from directly coming in contact with your specimen. Not all animals carry diseases, but you just want to be sure, Second thing you're going to need is a hypodermic needle. Yeah, and a syringe for injecting stuff. And also you're going to need a jar. If you can find a jar, hang on, let me show you an example. A jar like this with the sealing lid. There's two parts to the lid. This little piece with the seal on it and this ring. Ideally use one of those jars because it'll just make things easier down the line. I don't know, it feels right to use these jars. So if you can find one of those that fits your specimen well and doesn't have like weird patterns on it, that's excellent, use that. Other things to keep in mind when choosing a jar, preferably use glass. Depending on if you end up using other chemicals in the future, plastic might react with it. So just make sure that anything you're putting inside the jar isn't reacting with said jar. You get what I'm saying? So today I'm going to be using this one. Obviously going against my own advice, it has this little lid, but it's fine. Keep in mind that you want your jar to be the right size. You don't want one that's too big because then you'll be wasting your liquids filling it up. But you also don't want it to be too small because you can damage your specimens that way, or you might have trouble getting your specimen in. So, jar. The other thing you need, like I stated, is isopropyl alcohol, 70%. And last but not least, your specimen. This is a dead mouse. I have cats, it's bound to happen. Make sure your specimens are ethically sourced. One thing I would say to look out for are bats. If you're buying your specimens online, don't buy bats, guys. I do have one bat specimen, but I found him on a sidewalk, so yeah, just make sure everything you're using is ethically sourced. Having a clean and tidy workspace is always a good thing. And also, if you happen to freeze your specimens, another controversial thing, just make sure they're fully thawed out first. You don't want to break any of their limbs. And I do believe this little guy is. First thing you're going to do is make sure that there's nothing stuck to his fur. Just like go over them. If you have like an old toothbrush you can use to brush your specimens with, that's okay, use that. Just make sure there's nothing, any debris or anything. Second thing you're going to do, take your needle in question, pick up some of your isopropyl alcohol. If you have access to formalin or anything like that, that's what you would be using to, they call it fixing your specimen. I don't have anything like that, but isopropyl alcohol is the best we got. So basically what injecting this into your specimen does is it preserves the inside mainly. So there's going to be all sorts of organs. If you have a large specimen, you can remove the organs, but for smaller specimens, you just want to get in pretty much any of the openings, the ears, the mouth, the anus, to make sure that there is the liquid inside of the specimen as well, so it doesn't deteriorate from the inside out. So, take your specimen, slowly press your syringe. Cool. There we go. Remove that. Do the same thing with the ears. There you go. Down here. if your specimen is large enough and you plan on having their eyes closed, you can also inject through their eyes. Looking pretty good. There that guy is. And then this is my jar. So this is the first time period. This is his first time going in the jar. Just gently put him in there. If you want to position them in a certain way, you can use tweezers to do that. I need tweezers. That's another thing I forgot to mention. But I don't have tweezers right now, so I'm going to use the back of this paintbrush. Not the best thing to use. Don't be like me, guys. And just position it how you want it to be. And then it's important that you put your specimen in the jar first and then pour in your alcohol, because anytime you leave the cap off of the alcohol or have it out in the air, it will evaporate. So then you just fill it up with alcohol. So normally what I would do is I would take, it's called caulk, around the edges to make sure that it's sealed really well, but you gotta let them sit for a few days. So pretty much every few days, you're gonna come and you're gonna gently shake your jar to make sure that all of the fluids inside of your specimen and outside of the specimen are getting mixed so that everything's being preserved correctly. And after you do that, you're gonna, like, I don't know, after a week or so, depends on the size of the specimen. For this guy, probably not very long. You're just gonna pour it out, pour some more in, and keep doing that until your liquid is staying clear. If you don't do that, your specimen is going to sit there, and over time it is going to release those things, and then your water is going to be super duper cloudy. But hang on, let me move my camera. So this is what he looks like now. Ta-da! And I will continue this in a few days.